Hi there, welcome back. So Wayne is doing the demo for us today and we're going to use this lovely set of moulds. So this is the outer frame or circle with a bow decoration, a lovely gingerbread man, a pair of, these are candy canes I believe, a mitten, gorgeous, lots of detail on these, snowman, a stocking, and a Santa Claus or Father Christmas. So the idea is you make up some more of those frames and then you have one frame for each of those lovely little moulds. So we're just showing you some of the mica powders that we're using. We had a lovely watermelon red, Arteza Aztec gold, a lovely green. These are made by various brands. This is an Aurora tint, which is from Resin Jewels. And here we go. So we're just going to show you how we do one or maybe two of them, because otherwise this video would be pretty lengthy. So Wayne, all he's doing, he's got the Santa Claus one here, or the Father Christmas, whatever you decide to call or refer to him as, and he's using a micro brush. Now, as I've said in previous videos, these micro brushes are so handy. So handy. You can use them for all kinds of things. So on the end of the little micro brush, it's got a little bit of foam, and all Wayne's doing is dipping the micro brush into the pot of mica powder, lovely watermelon red I believe it was called, and then just sort of spreading it over the surface of the mould. So obviously he's decided what he wants to do red, and I think he's going for a traditional looking Santa, as in, there we go, his breeches or trousers, breeches. Does Santas have breeches or trousers? Anyway, and then the lovely jacket or big coat that he wears. And he's filling in which parts he wants to be red. Now, as I said, we're not going to show you everything for every single mould. What we're going to do is probably show you the full one for the Santa. Sorry about that just then. And then, yeah. You get the idea anyway. You don't need to see lots of repetition. We have sped up some of the clips just purely, otherwise you would be here for, you know, an hour and a half, and not everyone's got an hour and a half to just sit and watch us brushing mica powder onto moulds. But you get the idea of what you're supposed to do. Here we go. So look at that. So Santa is taking shape already. There is so much detail in these moulds. It's unbelievable, really. They're not huge, but they are big enough. They look lovely as Christmas ornaments for your tree, or perhaps as decorations as part of a garland, maybe, or even perhaps as part of a centerpiece for your table. They'd look lovely. So this bit's slowed down just a bit here, so you can see it at regular speed. So just taking care to do every last little bit of detail. He did turn the mould over and gently tap it. You saw a bit of a frenzied tapping session a few moments ago, but it was done very, very slowly, just to get rid of any excess mica. Now, he's controversial here. We're going for a green belt and green mittens. Do you think he's going to do the boots green as well? I wonder. Rather than going for brown, he's opted to go for green. And to be honest with you, I think that looks quite nice. Very festive. Traditionally, sort of colours for Christmas are going to be green, red and gold. So really following on with more of the old style traditions. But, you know, not to say that Santa wouldn't look just as good if you wanted to do him in purple and silver. You know, it's up to you. These are going to be, if they're for you, for your tree, you could go for your colour theme and you could have it all nicely toned and, yeah, sort of nicely coordinating. Now, this is a metallic powder that he's applying to the mould, not a mica powder. So this one's by Let's Resin. Their metallic powders are beautiful. You get bronze, copper and silver and gold, I believe. In fact, there might be two types of gold, thinking about that. But everything as usual that we've used in today's video will be linked in the description box below. So here we are with Father Christmas. Lots and lots of detail. I mean, it's beautiful. Looks really stunning. So yes, so he would have turned that over, given it a light tap to get rid of any excess powder. So you can see he's done some of the others. Look at the snowman. And those are the pair of candy cane sticks with bows. They look lovely too. And he's made up some Tea Expert resin. It's a 1-to-1 mixing ratio. And he's added some beautiful glitter. Now this is a silver glitter. Look at that. So just carefully pour into the mould. Now this one's got mould of the candy canes. It's got a few sections missing. Now he is going to do something with those, which is being further along in the video. All he's doing now, it's been sped up a bit, so it looks a bit juddery, but he's taking the micro brush and he's just making sure that the resin is getting to every little part of that mould, so that there are no air bubbles and you know, nothing like that going on. But there are some sections, as you can see in the top part, which looks like the bottom part actually from this view on your screen, you know, the bit where it hooks round, where there are sections missing. Now that is intentional. You will see what he does with that later. Of course you could do these in red and white if you wanted to, but opted to go for a bit of silver grey glitter. Very sparkly. So just checking this last one. There we are. Now here he is, Mr. Snowman. Now you could use white glitter if you wanted to, but Wayne opted for the silver. So this is just the continuation on from the candy canes, and there we go. So just taking, again, using the micro brush to make sure it goes out to his little hands. Of course you could do those in brown, or you could apply that metallic powder to the hands, so they look like the twigs that you'd use for a snowman's hands if you wanted to do that. But Wayne opted to use the glitter. There we go. There is the stocking. Doesn't that look lovely in the red and white? So again, all of these, same technique. Use the mica powder as colour of his choice, and then applied it to the moulds and to the parts and the sections of the moulds that he wanted to do using a micro brush. And then just once he was happy, made sure there was no excess mica powder, did that by turning the moulds over, giving them a light tap, 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 and then filling them up with the resin, which is what he's doing now, and then going back in with the little micro brush just to make sure everything is round the sides of the moulds, the resin is there, and that there's no little air bubbles anywhere. And then just topping it up a little bit with a little bit more resin as it was needed. Looking great. The little loop there in the top left hand corner of the stocking is so that you can secure it to the frame, the round frame. So look at this beautiful colour. This is a mixture of glitters. This is a red and then a copper or bronzy coloured glitter mixed together, and it gives it a real warm glow, which is exactly what we wanted for this gorgeous gingerbread man. So as you can see there are some bits missing intentionally from the design of the mould, and some raised parts. Now, obviously you're not going to have any glitter going there. And again, there is a reason for that. It's so that you can decorate it. Once it's cured, you demold it, and you can go in with a white mica, a white acrylic pen or some acrylic paint and a very fine brush, and just fill in the bits that there. Those are the bits that you would see in, say, white icing if you'd made gingerbread cookies. But there we go, exactly the same technique as he's used with all the others. Just topping it up with a bit more of that lovely resin, a nice warm gingerbread glow to it. And as we said, that was mixed using like a bronzy coppery coloured glitter and the red. Now this is the outer frame. Now don't forget, you will need to make as many frames as you make of those little moulds. So if you make 5, you've got to make 5 of these frames. So we opted for green glitter in the resin. Again, this is Tea Expert resin, 1:1 mixing ratio. It's great resin to use. It's our brand of choice currently. We are. So just carefully pouring it into that mould. You only want it on the outside. You do not want it on the inside as well. There we go. All the way around. Although the inside of that mould, if you just wanted to use the inside, would make a lovely base for a coaster. So it's a bit of a dual purpose mould. There we go. So just topping it up, let the resin find its own path, and then see if it needs topping up at all or anything like that. So there we go. Oh look, and here we go, just a little bonus one there. Here is the mitten. Beautiful. And we're just backing that with some green glitter resin. You can use whatever resin you have. If you've got a lot made up with green, then you could use green on all of them. It's totally up to you what you decide to do. You can also just use an opaque coloured resin. So if you wanted a solid block colour, then you could do that as well. Here we go. This was for the Christmas. And we had some more of the red and gold glitter mix to go on the back of him. Keeping it all still very festive. I do absolutely love this colour glitter. Here you go, so just continually pouring. Just got to get it into that little top, the last little ball on his head, on his hat even, not on his head, on his hat, there we go. Looking stunning. Lovely, lovely. Again, just making sure there's no little air bubbles. And here is the Christmas tree. Look at this. So we started off with a bit of silver at the very top. And then, I mean, I'll be honest with you, at this point we had leftover resin and glitter. And it was like, what should we use? What should we use? So we opted just to use up the glitter that we'd got. I mean, you don't have to do that. You could just do it all in a green. Or you could have it all silver, or you could have it all of that beautiful warm coppery ginger colour. Totally up to you what you decide to do. You could try and put a tiny bit of brown maybe at the bottom there for the trunk of the tree. You don't have to add glitter. You could just do it as a solid opaque resin colour. Totally up to you. We are. Looking lovely. You don't have to have all these different moulds either. You can do different coloured ones. Now these actually, sorry, I should have said these last two, or it might even be three, are what Wayne is doing, using up the leftover resin for. They're not part. They don't. You don't hang these within that original round frame. You could try, but I think they'd be way too big. So these are just some additional moulds that we're using up the leftover resin for. Because, you know, we don't like throwing away resin. It's not a cheap thing. It's not environmentally friendly to do that. And it's certainly not friendly to your bank account if you're going to do that, because it's wasting money. So wherever possible, we always try and make something else with the leftover resin. So here we go. We're just doing a bit of a demold here. So this is this beautiful frame. Again, these frames, they can be any colour you want. You know, if you've got a particular theme, as I said, or style for Christmas, then keep it all within that, with whatever colour combination goes with it. Beautiful. That looks lovely. So you can see in the middle of the bow there, you've got a little loop. So you suspend your mini piece, as in, like for example here, the mitten, from there. Can you see the loop at the top of the mitten there as well? Wait for this. So you've got sparkly on one side, and then you've got this on the other side. Now that's come out a bit disappointing, to be honest. It's very, very matte in its finish. So we weren't overly happy with that, but we do something to fix it. Here we go again. Beautiful. I love this one. God, that's very shiny. So there we have the stocking, again with a lovely little loop. You do need to make sure you keep the loops nice and free so that you are able to suspend them from the frame, from the inner part of that frame. Yeah. This is the snowman coming there. There we go. He's lovely. His little loop is inbuilt in the top of his hat there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. And here we have the duo of candy canes. Again, as I said, you can do these any colour you like. But we opted for this. Now Wayne is going to do a bit of extra decoration with this, which we will show you in this video. Yeah. If you joined us in the live premiere today, hello to everyone in the live premiere. If you haven't joined us in the live premiere, why don't you consider doing so? In order to do that, you have to have a YouTube account, you have to be subscribed to our channel, and all you do is hit the notification bell, and it will tell you when we're going live with a premiere. Well, not live, but premiering. And then you can join the live chat. Make sure you select live chat, not top chat from the menu, and then you can talk to us. We are there for most of our premieres. You can talk to us about the video, you can talk to us about what you've been getting up to craft-wise within the week, if you have any plans for Christmas and so on. There we are. If you haven't got a YouTube account, why don't you consider creating one? It's free to do so. And then, yeah, do a like, share and subscribe, notification bell, and you'll get notified as to when and at what time and when we upload videos. We also post on our community page on our channel sneak peeks of some of the things that we make. So that's something else to look out for. So all Wayne's doing here is we've got the Father Christmas one, or the Santa Claus one. It looks gorgeous. He's using, that is a Posca pen. That's Posca. Don't forget, everything we've used will be linked in the description box. And he's going in and he's doing all the outlining. Now this is already part of the mould. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but we really like the effect that it gives. It makes it stand out quite a bit as well. There we are. So just nice and steadily. Obviously this has been sped up for recording purposes, but take your time when doing it. He's using the fine one, I believe. Now I think these pens we actually got from an exhibition we went to, but they are available on Amazon, I believe, and most good craft supply shops. There we are. So this has just been slowed down a little bit here so that you can see. So he's outlined his boots, his trousers, his lovely big jacket or coat, his belt. It looks like he's done his hat and his sack with all the prezzies in it. There we go. And actually that green has come out that he did for the wellies, or his boots and his mittens, has come out a little bit green gold looking. A bit of a greenish gold look to it. There we are. He's just outlining the hat detail there. Again, it's up to you just how much detail you put in here. I would recommend using an acrylic paint pen, not acrylic paint and a brush, because you'd have to have some mad brush skills to be able to keep your hand as steady as you need to be able to do this. But obviously it's up to you. If you've got an exceptionally steady hand, then by all means use an ultra fine brush and some paint. But yeah, I would stick with what Wayne's using here, which is a Posca pen. So there we are. Yeah, so he's just finishing off the fine little detail. Just that it brings it to life. It also makes it look a little bit like a stained glass piece, perhaps. Maybe you've seen our recent video for the beautiful birds. There was a group of birds, hummingbirds, I believe, were in there, and maybe some others, sitting on a branch. Wayne did it as a window hanger, so it was a little bit of a break from the Christmas themed. Although you could give that to someone, and it would make a lovely present. Whether you had it as a hanger that you put in the windows, it's a sun catcher type thing, or if you mounted it into a box frame perhaps, and then presented that to somebody for Christmas as a lovely keepsake. But here we go. Yeah, he's almost finished now with the outlining, and that looks beautiful. Very, very clever is Wayne. Very artistic. Anyway, so there we are. All done with that. Now this is Mr. Gingerbread Man. Now, Mr. Gingerbread Man needs a little extra something. And this is what I was saying about where you've got the spaces or the cavity areas that weren't filled with resin. So what he's taken is some of the vinyl tape there, and he has put it sticky side up. Now this tape is very sticky, and then he's placed the gingerbread man down and pressed it down really firmly so it creates a seal, a complete seal, a resin proof seal. And then what he's doing is he's mixed up some white pigment or white mica powder into some, I think he's just used UV resin, but I mean you could use regular resin if you wanted to, and he's filling in those spaces, because to leave them open and blank, it just doesn't look right. So he's filling them in. There we are. So these would be the bits, if you've made a gingerbread biscuit or cookie or decoration before, it's the bit where you would do the icing, if you were making them, certainly, as in edible. And then you just use a UV torch to cure it. So there you go. You can see how it's coming now. And he's using various things to try and get the resin to where he wants it, whether it's a little coffee stir stick here, or whether it's the micro brush. Didn't attempt to try and pour it. It's just too small. The apertures that you need to pour the resin into are just too small. All he is doing is just making sure he's pushing it down and then refilling, pushing it down, refilling. There we go. By all means, cure it up in between each application. Ooh, wow. I'm assuming he's going to, yeah, I thought he might do. Just spread it over the rest of the piece and then clean it up before he then cures it. So he continued to do that with the gingerbread man, and this is what he decided to do with the candy canes. So, you know, I was saying if you did it red and white, so you do the main part of it white, you could have your bow a different colour like we have, and then you go in and you do this and you do it with red instead. So it's a piece of vinyl tape again, and then the piece, your cured piece, like the candy canes here, set down onto it and really smooth down well so it creates a seal all along the edge and all along the different apertures that you're then going to fill with coloured resin. And as I said, you don't have to use UV, you can use regular resin. Now, you know, we've opted for silver and white. Of course, you can go the traditional route if you want to, which is usually red and white. Or I have seen some edible ones, I'm thinking now. I've seen with green, pale, like a very pale green, red and white. I think they were fruit flavoured. But the traditional one is peppermint, I think, isn't it? Peppermint flavour. Do you like candy canes? Do you have them on your tree? Why not let us know in the comments? You know, is there anything unique to your tree that you don't think anybody else would have? Or you'd be surprised if anybody else had? Do you have a tree where you only have handmade decorations on it? I know some people do that. Some people have a tree in every room. I mean, our house, I love our house, but it's not big enough to do that. And I don't think I'd want that personally, but we usually have a smallish tree, and then because we just otherwise wouldn't have anywhere to put a large tree, but we do decorate out our fireplace and mirrors and things like that. So yeah. Have you handmade any decorations? I've seen a lot of videos on Instagram recently where people are making a lot of paper decorations made out of paper, sort of hanging decorations and things. Type of thing I remember from childhood, actually. All seems to be coming back into fashion again. There we go. So as you can see, Wayne's done the same sort of thing that he did with the gingerbread man, but he's done this with the candy cane sticks, and it just finishes them off. They just don't look right unless you do this. That's our opinion anyway. So he continued on with that, filled up the other apertures for the other candy cane that's there, or stick. And yeah, he did a few bits of it and then just cured it with his UV torch. Now, of course, if you've got a UV lamp, you can always just put it under the UV lamp. In fact, with all of these that we've done this final sort of step with UV resin, we did then put it under the much bigger torch that we've got, or lamp that we've got, for a good 5 minutes. So he's just zoomed out a little bit here, and you can see he's just finishing it off now. Yeah, just carefully using the stir stick to put the layers of white resin into those apertures. Just be very careful. Obviously, the more careful you are, the less spillage you'll like to have, the less cleanup job you would be doing. So it's very good, actually, that Wayne does this, because he's got a lot more patience than me. I'd have got myself into a right messy state by now and have a big cleanup job to do. But yeah, are you a messy crafter? Or are you a tidy crafter? I border in between the two. Yeah. The dream is to have a space totally separate from any other room in our house where we just do crafting and obviously do the videos for yourselves to watch. That is the dream. But that's a long way off just yet. That's the dream. Do you have a craft room? Do you have a craft studio? You know, or do you just, you know, do it in your dining room, in your kitchen? Is it a spare bedroom? Or are you lucky enough to have maybe a separate studio? That would be fantastic. My problem then, though, would be every single spare moment of the day I had and of the night when I'm not sleeping. I'd want to be in that room. But there we are. Crafting is a very good release for stress if you have that. That's certainly what I've found. If you have stress in your life, or if you just want to do something totally different to maybe what you do as your everyday, your day job, as I call it. This is certainly very different to my day job because we don't do this full time. This is our hobby. But who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Let's just say that. Who knows what the future holds? So Wayne finished doing that one. He cured it. Now, what we then decided to do, because he did talk to me about this, do you feel we need to do something just to give it a bit of a protective coating? And I said yes. So in he went with the UV resin. Now, Wayne isn't wearing gloves. Please wear gloves if you want to wear gloves. I personally, if it was me, because I have very high skin sensitivity to things like any kinds of resins and mica powders and so on, I wear gloves all the time when creating, when crafting like this. Wayne was happy not to be wearing gloves, but you know, if you're at all concerned, read all the manufacturer's instructions about PPE, what you should and shouldn't do. But as a rule, I would say wear gloves, work in a well-ventilated area, wear a respirator mask because some of the fumes that are given off or the smells aren't particularly pleasant. I found that particularly with UV resin for some reason. And obviously mica powder is a very fine powder and it does get into the atmosphere and you don't want to be breathing too much of that in. But yeah. So here we are. This is what he did with Santa. He also went back and did it with the others, cured them, and here we are, got a bit of a close-up. They will look absolutely stunning. Particularly love the gingerbread man. But they're really, really lovely. So I'm going to leave you now with the finishing shots. And I hope you enjoyed today's video, and we will see you again very, very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.